Brothers and sisters, this is Biblical Forensics coming back with Jesus' first direct approach to solve that worship dilemma between Jews and Samaritan. Remember, I told you that Jesus prepared the Jews' mindset to accept the Samaritan, but he purposed to solve the matter by the end of his ministry. When Jesus started his ministry, he did something spectacular before the Jews and before the world. He called 12 disciples, telling the Jews, "You failed. I start over. Not with 12 tribes now, but with 12 individuals. Not just for the Israelite, but for the world." And those disciples, they were in college with Jesus for 3 years and a half. That was the best training ever because they received hands-on training. Best training ever because they were trained by God Himself. But look at that. A bachelor's degree program. But if we consider the way Jesus trained them, an intensive program, we could say that a bachelor's degree in 2 years and a half and a master's degree in 1 year. So the disciples received, if you want, just a bachelor's degree, but I would say a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Jesus. But Jesus did one thing. First of all, according to Mark, he called the disciples to have them with him so that they could observe and learn. And then he was going to send them. For the first part of the calling, he just kept them with him for them to follow him, to learn. He did not send them at the beginning of the training. By the time they had completed the first year of training, Jesus was going to send the disciples by 2 before him in places where he was going to go. That's a good way for colleges and universities to learn how to train theologians or to train pastors today. Learn from Jesus. You put new pastors with experienced pastors. Do not wait for them to graduate so that you can do that while they are in college. Send them on the field to learn from pastors, experienced pastors, theologians. The disciples could see how Jesus dealt with opposition, challenges, demons, how he prayed, how he ministered. They learned that. Near their graduation, Jesus is going to approach the crisis between Jews and Samaritan, and he decided to involve the 12. Luke chapter 9, 51 to 56. Please follow me there. Now it came to pass when the time had come for him to be received up, that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers before his face, and as they went, they entered the village of the Samaritans to prepare for him. But they did not receive him because his face was set for the journey to Jerusalem. And when his disciples James and John saw this, they said, "Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them?" just as Elijah did. But he turned and rebuked them and said, "You do not know what manner of spirit you are. For the Son of Man did not come to destroy man's life, but to save them." And they went to another village. When I first read this passage, in fact, when I first preached about this passage, I thought that Jesus failed in this approach to solve the matter, until the Holy Spirit put me to sit down and say, "Look closer. There is no failure in this. There are lessons to learn." Jesus wanted the disciples to learn that the crisis between Jews and Samaritan is a serious matter. It is not just a matter of worship. It is not just a matter of two cities, Jerusalem and Samaria. It is not just a matter of ethnicity. It is a matter of heart condition. Remember, the disciples are theologians near graduation. And two theologians, two pastors, suggest that Jesus burned the Samaritan. Today, you would not graduate such pastors if while in college they talk about burning souls instead of ministering to save them. You would say that, oh no, we are not going to graduate those two guys and send them on the field. Sometimes as human beings we are harsh on principles. Jesus did not do that. He still kept the disciples. He rebuked them, but he kept them in college. And they are going to graduate to become faithful pastors and ministers, as you know about James and John. Today, if we have pastors, church leaders, myself on this platform, mentioning to burn some folks, you would say, you know that this guy, we do not need him on our pulpit anymore. We do not need this guy as a pastor. In fact, we need to take his credentials. We need to learn from that. Jesus wanted you to learn that the crisis is not just a worship crisis. And today we have a crisis of Sabbath worshippers and Sunday worshippers. Jesus purposed himself to solve. Jesus is telling you, it is not just a simple crisis. It is a difficult matter. It is a matter where Sunday worshippers and Sabbath worshippers may even whisper or think or ask to burn folks. The Jews say, let's burn those folks. So a worship issue can become a complicated matter today. That's one of the points Jesus is making here. And the other point was that both Jews and Samaritan need salvation. Sabbath worshippers today, Sunday worshippers today need salvation. And the salvation is in Jesus. One salvation. We may be divided over worship, but only Jesus saves. But the worship issue was a problem that Jesus wanted to address. Did Jesus fail in that approach, the first one? No. But lessons were learned. The disciples learned, they understood that the matter is a serious matter. And today, we need to learn it is a serious matter. So how is Jesus going to solve that matter that he purposed himself to do before he ended his ministry? We will see that in our next presentation. But the question for me and for you would be today, how is Jesus going to solve that worship issue today between Sabbath worshippers and Sunday worshippers? We will learn from that as well in our next presentation. It was my pleasure to see Jesus' first approach to solve the problem between Jews and Samaritan, and what we could learn from that. This is Biblical Forensics. My name is Judson Bryce. God bless me. God bless you. We're going to come back soon to continue our series today.